I'm actually heating up some coffee in the other room, so just give me a few minutes. In fact, I'll even say that in the chat. We'll see if the chat. Go ahead and reload this and see if the chat works. Restream chat. Uh, Welcome. Heating some coffee in the other room. I'll be with you shortly. Good, good. Everything's going fine. I got I got about a minute. I had some coffee from this morning, but I'm still drinking my electrolyte, and um, so what I'm doing is I'm making the coffee and I'm making it kind of extra hot so that it will stay hot longer. And when I finish my electrolyte, I'll probably drink my coffee, which I know it sounds weird. Maybe it defeats the purpose. I don't know. We'll see. Um, in any case, let's back this up a little bit. Actually have to confront them instead of trying to punish them. Okay, so we already actually have that, which was, yeah, that's right. We separated this into two, and then this is switching scenes here. So I guess that's all right. Okay, okay. Give me just a quick sec. I'll be right back. Okay, I am here. Uh, as per yesterday, my voice is gonna be. I'm gonna try to keep my voice down, even though my door's closed, because I guess yesterday I was pretty loud. So that's why I was quiet on the second half. I guess my dad woke up, or I woke him up, and he couldn't get back to sleep. So I'm gonna try to keep it at a kind of a low normal. I mean, I guess it can get pretty loud. I didn't really realize it, but I guess that's the way I am. Okay, so let's switch to desktop so you can see my face a little bit. Okay, there we go. Here I am. Welcome to you few that are sticking by me. Um, Now I'm gonna try to get some work done today here on the game, but I also want to maybe spend a little time exploring ways I can uh, that can make this a little less boring and while still doing the same kind of work. You know, maybe brainstorming, mind mapping, whatever. Coming up with a lot of ideas. So some visual that you can look at that other than just me typing to chat GPT or whatever. In fact, that reminds me. Um, Not that one. Let's see here. Let me 11:36. So I'm only about 5 minutes late, a little over 5 minutes, but about 5 minutes late. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good record for me. And that's what I had my time compressed. Like I started supper late. It took longer than I thought it would. Then I had to eat, and then I had to come and prepare and do this the stuff that I usually do. And I managed to come in and out and eat too and get done with that um, within time. So that's pretty good. Maybe I should always have like a little less time. Like, you know, maybe I should come in at 11:15 to do stuff, and I'll just have just enough time just to do the basic, really quick thing here, and I can't, screw around or whatever. Anyways, let us. I guess I should pull up my notes. Recent Jen Lance notes. Okay. And we'll go all the way down to the bottom. And nice. So we have okay. So we have a few things here, right? Uh, Moving over to Trouserton, where his money was stolen. So the Tri Villages area is composed of Trouserton, Chillington, and Lipperton, and Trouserton is where Zanzibar was performing his show. Okay, so first idea is that he's going to be um, okay, so the thing is he catches up to him in a different village, and of course it's not going to be one of the tri villages area. He was working the tri villages area, and Max has to go to each village and to get some clues, at least the on the ground deal. Let me let me see something here. Um, Actually, let me switch to webcam real quick. Okay, and it's like blazing bright here on the TV that I'm using as a side monitor. Doesn't have the range that my regular monitor has. So brights, well, I should say the brights are blown out, so I look practically ghastly over here on this on my side monitor. So I'm gonna bring this back here. This is actually a little bit bright, huh? Huh. Okay. Um, Actually, I can look over there to the side too, but let's go to the darker it is, the less it has to work, I think. It could be the other way around. It might be dark because it needs light. Well, I'm not doing anything automatic, so it's not gonna have to work that hard for that. So give me just a second while I tweak this a little bit. Um, I guess gain. Oh, oh, I see. So the game was stuck because I hadn't changed it. Okay, so here, I guess I'll go ahead and show you my desktop. We'll say okay, and let's go to scenes. Let's switch to desktop. So you'll be seeing the thing in here. Um, okay, so maybe not the desktop. I don't know. Uh, okay, we'll just do this anyway. Sources. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I'll pull up the video capture properties. Okay, so you should be seeing, yeah, you should be seeing that. And if you notice, this is in Linux, right? So it's this V4L2 video capture thing. I'm actually using a Logitech Pro 970 something or other, I forget, webcam. And um, apparently Logitech doesn't really do drivers for Linux. I guess they just don't or something. And so I'm using whatever default open source drivers that comes with Linux. Um, I don't know if it's via Debian or Ubuntu itself or just Linux Mint in general. I don't know how far they go to, or if just the open source driver, I guess is probably just open source. It's probably just an external thing that they decided to include or something. But so um, so I got this stuff. I got white balance automatic. I got auto exposure mode. One is aperture setting, and then the other one's just manual. Then we got exposure, dynamic frame rate. Then we got focus, auto, and continuous. Right. So what happens is it doesn't matter if they're set like this. They're not. None of these are set. Right. They're set to manual. Nothing automatic is on, but automatic is on when I start up OBS. I had this problem too before when I was running Linux Mint Debian Edition, and I had to actually. I eventually got. I think it was Grok helped me out where I created a script that automatically set these settings in terminal, and so it would run every time Linux started. So I have to do that again, and I don't remember how to do it. I don't remember the script or anything. I just, you set it and forget it, and so I have to re-ask or have to re-look it up or whatever. But so none of these are set in the settings, but all of them are automatic, all of them. So what I have to do is I have to go through each setting. I have to turn them on automatic. I have to hit OK. Then I close OBS and I reopen OBS, and then I reset these to non-auto. Like I uncheck all of these, and I switch this from aperture priority mode back to manual mode, and then but once I do that, the settings still haven't changed yet. Okay, so then I have to go in and I have to go back into the settings sliders and I have to move them just a little bit because in reality they're already set at a certain place, but for some reason they don't activate. They don't. I don't know how to say it. You know, it's like when you're hitting enter to make sure something checks. Something is inputted. You're inputting something and you hit and you might switch to a different field and that won't take. You have to hit enter to get it to take, right? So that's what I have to do here. So I have to go into each one of the settings that I care about changing, and I have to move them just slightly, and then um, it will set to wherever the slider position is, whereas before it didn't. So somehow it doesn't keep the settings for some really weird, stupid, strange reason. Anyways, yeah, so there's that. Okay, um, so I have to do that every time now until I remember the script and figure out how to do the script again. So, anyways, now I don't look so much like a ghost. Over here, it still looks kind of like a ghost, but it's not near as bad. In any case, so yeah, so let's get back to work here. Okay, so we know a couple of things. One is that Zanzibar's left the Tri-Villages area, and then the other thing that we know is that going this method on foot, Max is going to have to go through each of the villages to get clues. And what we're going to do is to get an idea of what the next village that Zanzibar moved to is. First, he's going to go back to the scene of the crime. Basically, he's going to go back to Trouserton, right, where the show was that he had his money stolen, and then he's going to ask around maybe, or he's going to maybe look for clues where the tent was set up or whatever. And then he's going to be directed to the other two villages because supposedly he traveled the Tri-Villages area and Trouserton was his last one. In fact, it was this bigger one, whereas Chillington and Leperton are smaller. Whereas Chillington is filled with ghosts, so I'm not sure if he's going to be doing a thing to ghosts because he's probably not going to get paid there. So you know what? I kind of eliminated an extra choice and maybe even a reason to go to Chillington, unless I can figure out a way to, I guess a lot of this stuff is contrived. So I go this and then the story kind of dictates, well, if you can't go to Chillington, then I shouldn't have a Chillington scene in there. But sometimes you want to do it yourself because you want that to happen. In other words, I want him to go through all of the Tri-Villages and and uh, um, or yeah, I want him to go through all three of them, which includes, of course, Trouserton, which is where you're going first, but to also hit the other two villages because he's presumably been there. But now the only thing is, if I remove Chillington as a step, again, like I said, I don't really need it in the story because of the way the story is here. Um, but that leaves kind of less interesting choices, I guess you might say. Go to Leperton, which is a sheep town, uh, originally going to be called Leap Town, and then Leaper Town, then Leaperton, and then somebody misspelled it and it spelled Leperton. So suffice it to say, there's not many people going to Leperton anymore because they think it's full of lepers there instead of the original intent, which was a bunch of leaping sheep, counting sheep. That's a good thing. I should put it there. Where's um leper uh Lepertonites or Lepertonies? Lepertons? Lepers? um Well, I mean that goes along with it. You know, it's an unfortunate misspelling, so people think they're talking about leprosy, but really it's not talking about leprosy. So what do they call them? They call them lepers. Uh, let's see. The lepers' favorite pastime is counting sheep leaping over a fence. Um, you know, the proverbial counting sheep, right? And usually the idea is that the sheep go jump over the fence and you're supposed to count them, and that's supposed to help you get to sleep. So, but their favorite pastime is that. Anyways, um, so I have to think if Shillington is going to be a place that he goes to. But like I said, it feels like less agency if um it feels like less agency if he doesn't go to Chillington. So this is where this is what I use ChatGPT for. Still look pretty ghastly over here. What's still look pretty I guess. Oh, I see. I keep forgetting. When it's bright, when it's super bright, um, like this text over here, then my face gets way lit up, and so I look almost like the ghost like before. If I do this, then on my screen it doesn't look so lit up because it's not lighting my face up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do what I normally do because I don't know any different right now. That's what I'm gonna try to get. I'm gonna try to see if um I'm going to try to see if what was I saying? Anyways, I'm gonna try to get ChatGPT to give me some ideas. Um, I think this was the one where historical hotel alternatives tends to show Zanzibar, two scene beats, breadcrumb ideas, bribery. Okay, what's interesting? Uh, did I discuss the Tri Villages area with you? You mentioned several region settlements before. I don't recall a specific discussion. Ah, I wonder if it was Grok. Although I haven't been using Grok for my game as of late. Let's check. Let's go ahead and check Grok, anyways. Carnivore Diet, MacGyver, Skipjack, No Time to Die Opening, YouTube streaming, Air 2D tutorials. Nope, nope, that's weird. That is so weird because I know I talked to it. I mean, it could be Brave Leo, I guess, but you don't you don't have any memory even from other conversations about the village names I was trying to come up with. Uh, I have this stuff written down, and I know I talked about it. I might have to check. It's Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday I wasn't on, so today's stream to see who I was chatting with. Um, Three Villages, Trouserton, Chillington, and Upperton comprise the Tri-Village area. So, I still don't like Chillington that much, honestly, to be honest. Comprise the Tri-Village area. But it's weird. I was sure I talked to you about it. Yeah. Um, no, you don't. No, you don't need to log it. I'll investigate uh, where and what the discussion was. And actually, you know what? It might still be in this conversation and it might not know it. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. Let's go to the top because this started with me talking about hotel, the names for a hotel or an inn or whatever. Uh, Bats and Belfry. Okay, so the comedic. Modern Times, Fantasy Kingdom, Medieval Setup, Motel. And it came up with the idea of the motel with the MOAT, and that actually kind of works. So that way I can still call it a motel, and even though it's fantasy world, there are no motors in Enchanted Lands, although it's in modern times. So certainly a lot of people know about the various realms that come into Enchanted Lands, so they know what motors are and stuff. Coach Lodge, bonus lore angle. Okay, got ideas. Motel it is. Set up. Think up some new. Okay, see, this is names for the few of the villages. At this point in time, there's a guy named Zanzibar. If say his name, I haven't decided on real name. Okay, Pekro. Uh, so he managed to get in the Enchanted Lands. That's fantastic. Okay. So lines you realize don't change them. Max starts up new again. It just so happens one of these shows happens to have Corvus cut Max's coin purse. Max finds out he's furious, so he has to go track him down. So there are two ways to track him down. When this point, flying train, they have flying trains. Uh, so then he has to go back to the scene crime, as it were, and then ask around to see if he can track Zanzibar down. So this town is one of three that comprise a tri. See, I actually mentioned the Tri-Villages area, which I'm trying to come up names for. I have one called Trouserton, the best trousers in the kingdom. Little side note: originally the name was going to name Pennsylvania, but when the residents decide they don't want to be the butt of a joke, and there's another joke in there somewhere, I'm sure, right? The seat of your pants. They don't want to be the butt of the joke. Uh, the next I'm thinking of the Bats and Belfry motels near. I'm thinking it's going to be a little ghost town, where some. See, I actually did talk about two to Chat GPT in this particular conversation, and it doesn't even know it. It doesn't remember it. It can't even look at. Okay, I went to the beginning of this conversation, and it goes from um, names uh, for hotels in history. Uh, like even back in medieval times, um, to me just using motel for the counts uh, in um, and then you actually came up with the word motel, considering motel just means a motor uh, motorist hotel, which were fairly modern, maybe 1920s or so. Uh, um, so then it switched to me telling you about Zanzibar, putting on some shows, and then Zanzibar putting on. So I did use a couple of things directly from the AI, which I guess I don't guess it's a big deal. I'm not doing word for word. I'm not using it to completely create everything. Um, okay, putting on some shows, and then and then stealing from Max and Max has to go back and find Zanzibar. So the show was in Browser Ton and the Tri-Villages area, so that's where he went. And then I had you help me come up with some names for the other two villages. And actually, it's kind of funny because so Trouserton uh was the name I came up with that on my own. Well, okay, so I was thinking Transylvania. I was thinking what rhymes with Transylvania, the trance part. Um, and I was thinking pants, Pennsylvania, like Pennsylvania, but with pants, Pant. And of course, you in the UK, you have a slang, which pants means like crap or whatever you want to say, underpants, whatever. But we tend to call trousers pants here, you know. And pants really just comes from pantaloon, which is, it's whatever descendant word. Pantaloon, I'm guessing would be a Latin based word because I think that was like Spanish and um, maybe Italian and stuff, old Italian, so pantaloon, um, pantalones. And it didn't original. I don't think it originally referred to undergarments. I think it just referred to literally what we, you know, trousers basically. And so they were gonna call it I was gonna call it Pennsylvania, and then saying it was originally called Trouserton, and then I went, that should be backwards because Pennsylvania is the joke. Trouserton doesn't. It sounds like less of a joke. I mean, it's still a joke because they're naming their town after pants, right? Because they have the finest trousers in the kingdom, basically. And so I was going, and Trouserton sounds a little bit more, maybe a little bit more English. If I'm not offending anybody here, um, a little bit, yeah, a little bit more English, right? Because especially because you guys in the UK use, and probably other places in the world too. I'd imagine pants for trousers might be exclusive to the US. But so for one thing, you use trouser over there, and then ton just sounds like uh, town. It's so short for town, right? And towns everywhere have the suffix ton on it. You know, Huntington, whatever, and it sounds British, so it just kind of sounds a little sounds. I should say sounds like it fits in, right? Fits in with a whole fantasy medieval kind of vibe. Um, and so I came up with Trouserton. I was gonna do it, and then I switched it because Pennsylvania is the joke. Pennsylvania is the thing that they don't want to call it Pennsylvania because they might be the butt of the joke. Um, so so then I come with the um then okay, so then we tried to come up with something that the Bats in the Belfry Motel is kind of next to a uh, a town, and I just thought, what about a ghost town, but like a real ghost town, like there are really ghosts living there, and that's their final resting place is essentially uh, this town, and so we come up with Chillington, and I still don't really like that much. but Chillington, uh, um, and then finally, uh, what's the third one? I don't know why I can't think of the third one. Um, Leperton, right? Okay, so I thought about this for a second, and I thought, okay, I'm not sure what I came up with first. Did I come up with the leprosy angle, or did I come up with the leaping sheep leaping deal? Because I thought Leap Town was a good name. Anyways, I don't even know which one I came up with it, but I don't know which idea was first. But I was going, you know, uh, leap, Leap Town, Leaperton, because I was trying to do the town part of it, the ton suffix. So Leap Town, Leapton, and one of the things was Leaperton, and I thought about it for a second, and I was like Leperton. I was thinking that, oh, they think that was full of lepers when that they're actually called lepers too, by the way, but they're not lepers as in they don't have leprosy. It was a misspelling on the charter, so that managed to change it managed to change Leaperton to Leperton. And actually, there's a funny thing too, a corollary. It's not really a corollary, but it's sort of a corollary. But basically, there are two towns in Central Florida. One is called Lakeland, and the other one is called Winter Haven. Lakeland and Winter Haven. And originally, Lakeland was going to be called Winter Haven, and Winter Haven was going to be called Lakeland because Winter Haven has all the lakes. They got tons and tons of little lakes around, and Lakeland does have lakes in it, but it's less. It's got kind of average amount of lakes, kind of like it's got one central one, and it's got a couple of smaller ones, and kind of like the rest of Florida does, Central Florida does. But there was a mix-up, and they were switched. So then, was it Winter Haven or was it Auburndale? Can't remember. Was it Auburndale? I have to look that up. Um, was it Winter Haven, Florida, or Auburn, Florida, that had its name switched to Lakeland? Leo should be able to. Story that Winter Haven or Auburndale had their name switched with Lakeland is a myth because not supported by historical evidence. Oh, well, it's the story I heard. So, incorporated January 1st, 1885, while Winter Haven was incorporated in 1911, making the mix-up in incorporation papers impossible. Winter Haven was originally known as Harris Corners, uh, named after F.K. Harris, the first official resident who built a store there. The name Winter Haven was later chosen in 1885 by settler P.D. Ice, Ice Climber, who suggested to do the area's pleasant winter climate. Auburndale, founded in 1880, was originally named Sanitaria, but was renamed after settlers from Auburndale, Massachusetts, uh, when the railroad arrived. There's no credible historical record indicating that either city's name was ever switched with Lakeland's. Winter Haven seems to have many more lakes than Lakeland does. Only in Polk. Okay. Was Winter Haven really supposed to be named Lakeland? There's actually a few versions. One states the cartographer mixed up the city's names while crafting a map. Another says the city's incorporation paperwork got mixed up in Tallahassee. As crazy as it seems, the stories actually make a little bit of sense. After all, there are 38 named lakes in Lakeland and 50 in Winter Haven, which is known for its chain of lakes. This led Lobb to ask the ledger whether it was true that Lakeland was supposed to be named Winter Haven and vice versa as a part of our Only in Pope project. I think it's funny that it's been circulating for such a long time, says Lob 33 Secretary Lakeland. I've actually Googled it a couple of times, nothing swapped up. I would be very surprised if this is actually the case. Turns out truth is not stranger than fiction. Murdoch Young, Polk County History Center's Historic Preservation Manager, said she was not aware of anything off the top of her head that states Bob Gernhardt, founder of the Museum of Winter Haven History, is an authority on all things Winter Haven. He said the myth simply isn't true, and the reason is actually pretty boring. Lake was incorporated in January 1st, 1885. Winter Haven was incorporated in 1911. That gap of 26 years means it's possible for the incorporation papers that got mixed up. Um, okay, well, I guess I'm wrong. That's what I heard, anyways. I thought it'd be a funny aside, considering that this is the little thing that I came up with, which I thought was funny. So that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so my idea. One is located near the bats in the Belfry Motel, and is an actual literal ghost town. Final resting place of many prominent Enchanted lands citizens. Although resting may be an inaccurate term, as they seem to function as any small village does. It just so happens to have a lot of actual ghosts. Okay. We came up with Chillington, although I still don't like that much. And then there's Leopardton. Story has it. The legend has it. The story is that they have an abundance of sheep that like to leap and bound, especially over fences. So when they originally incorporated, that's another thing, stating that the like your cities and stuff, that like they're all corporations. They're not actual they're not public. You don't have a public city or whatever. So they're incorporated. That means they form corporations to make a sort of a legal thing, and then of course they're able to get like funds and whatever. Anyways, okay, so they originally incorporated was wait so the citizens wanted it to be called Town. So when they originally incorporated Town, but they also wanted it to align with the other tri-village area names. So they sold Lieberton. So when they originally incorporated, the person that filled in the charter misspelled Lieberton and left the A out, and thus it was called Pepperton from there on out. Now, in the citizens, there are called lepers, which tends to drive tourists and citizens away. Okay, so that was all this conversation. I should go, metaphorically speaking, then I'll check this out. Okay. But can you look back into the conversation and tell me and see that? Or are you just taking my word for it? I can see all the messages within the concurrent conversation, including everything you and I have said since this chat started. So yes, I can literally scroll back and see where you mentioned the misspelling story, the sheep that leap, and so on. But here's the important bit. Once this conversation ends, I can't peek into past chats or retrieve what said in previous session. Yeah. Okay. I thought you did have the ability to look at other conversations. I think Brock has this ability now. They should allow you to do so if the user so asks. And as far as security concerns, security or privacy concerns, they could just set it up so that only the conversation they ask you to look at is the only one you look at, and also they could set up is the only one you look at, and also but that's whatever. I can't really do anything to anyone. Darn it. Water bottle. Coffee is still warm. Stir it up a little bit. Like trying to write a big intercut. But I can't really browse full chat history. Well, I don't know if you can report to OpenAI, but if you could give that suggestion. Maybe I do. Okay. Through usage insights and reports, just saying it here does help percolate upward in the data TCAL. No thanks, but thanks for the info. Okay, anyways, let me get back to the thing here. Okay. All right, so I have stains like butter or something on my shirt now for some reason. I don't even know why. Weird. Pardon me. Okay. Anywho, um, okay, so I had a question about so what's the deal here? OBS Studio 32.02 packages. Huh. I don't know if that is upgrading my existing OBS. Okay, so the OBS that I'm running right now that I'm streaming to you from is actually the package version. So it's actually version if I can pull it up about it's actually version 30.0.2.1. I've actually downloaded the flat pack version of version 32, which I'm sure I can use now. And I was going to transfer like the profiles, the scenes, and whatever settings and stuff over to the flat pack version. But this upgrade here might be um, if it's not 32.0.2 in the flat pack version, this might be the system version. I don't know. I mean, I think that the system versions are locked in. In other words, this is what's in the Debian repositories, right? So it's probably not an upgrade. This might be an upgrade to the Flatpak version though. So maybe it was 0.0.1 and now it's to 0.0.2 or something. I don't know. I'll have to look at that later, I guess. Okay. I had about whether I need something or not. Okay, so basically uh the idea is um Zanzibar travel, the tribe villages area, but um Chillington is an actual ghost town, and would he actually put on a show for ghosts? If not, then I don't need Max to travel to Chillington because he wouldn't get any clues there. But this also removes a bit of the appearance of agency because now there's only a couple of places to go and you don't even need a choice do it. You go, Max goes back to the show at, in Trouserton. He gets some clues as to other villages to find. But it would all be told nearly because there's literally no other place to go than Leopardton. Than Leopardton. And I could work in that. So the question becomes, do I try to come up with reasons for him to go to Wellington, or do I leave it? Dilemma. Get the narrative type. Adds a feeling of agency, even though there's only one real clue. Letting the player choose to go there keeps the world feeling open. Can be used for color, lore, or humor. Village doesn't need to live inhabitants to interact with. You can play with ghost interactions. Or the ghosts react to leftover illusions in amusing ways. Cons requires extra content, even a few lines for something that doesn't advance the main quest. Could feel like filler. Not done cleverly. Ghostly mischief. Corvus thefts still happen, but the victims are ghosts who complain in spectral ways. Max can observe these, find a spectral clue like floating feather or coin dropped by a ghost that hints at Zanzibar's methods. Environmental storytelling. Abandoned shops, tattered banners, amusing ghostly customs, adds flavor. Comedic dead end. Nothing substantial, but the scene gives it a funny. He doesn't need to go there if Zanzibar hasn't been there because he's on a quest. So if he's gonna go there, then Zanzibar has to have went there, and I have to have a reason for him to go there because he literally can't steal from ghosts. So skip chilling entirely, keeps the narrative tight, linear. Less writing needed, player doesn't get frustrated. Slightly reduces the sense of player agency or exploration, misses a chance of flavor and world building. I mean, I could even have a thing where some of it plays into a later thing, but I have to figure out what plays into the later deal. It's a passable mention rather than a stop. This goes down in passing. My take for your game time. Give me your optional scene. You don't need to brainstorm anything right now. I'm still considering if I mean I could add stuff like see okay so the idea is I'm not trying to do lore or world building. I mean I when I come up with stuff I put them in my notes because I think they'll be funny things and so that's part of the world building in the sense that it's a backstory. But in here I'm trying to get the events like a walkthrough like the critical path walkthrough and then and not really critical path exactly, but sort of like that. In other words, all of them, all of the paths, all the directions go to the same place, and they're not optional in the way of um, you could do it or you could not do it. They're only optional in the way of you can go in one choice, or you can go to another. Just like tracking Max down with the flying train versus going on foot, right? So you can go to one or the other, and you might bypass the other, but neither one is actually an option. It's just you have to pick one or the other to go, and you're not going to go on both of them. Look at there. If Zanzibar can't steal from ghosts, then he might not want to put on a show there. Although, as far as having an audience, a show there would still be valid. There would still be valid. And if Max can't get any clues from there, then there's no need to put it in the story. At least right now, because phase 1 is more set up like a walkthrough, almost critical path type of walkthrough. I say almost because none of the side choices are like optional or just for fun. I'm not doing anything extra until a later pass. This is the event pass or walkthrough pass, if you prefer. But I can still maybe figure out a reason why Zanzibar goes there. And I'll still address it. It's like going into the front door and prying it open. You still can't go through it, so you still have to go through the back. So in this, maybe I need to still acknowledge it, but like don't have them go there. It finds only ghosts. Uh, this does give me an idea. So, huh, this kind of gives me an idea. So this does give me an idea. Um, let's say, um, he uses he stops at Chillington to sort of lay low. Maybe he doesn't he doesn't tell anyone his next stop until he gets there and sets it up. So no one will know what his next town is until the flyers go up advertising his next show. So he decides to stop in Chillington. It says stop in So maybe he's heard about Chillington, right? It decides to stop in Chillington. Okay. So maybe he knows about Chillington. While starting the tour. Maybe he finds out. Maybe he finds out about Chillington while starting the tour. And then when he's done in Clipperton, he decides to stop in Chillington to lay low for a little bit before going on. And in fact, Max could almost not decide to go there because he realizes then the bar wouldn't put on a show where he couldn't steal from them. Then he'll get a clue or hint and decide to travel there anyway. Keeps everything logical. Chillington is quiet, goes to low risk, he can lay low without attracting detection, no need to advertise risk detection, essentially seizing as a pause between bigger crowds. Max's dilemma. He almost skips Chillington because he knows the audience is ghosts and nothing to steal, no clear clues, but something subtle hints at Zanzibar's presence anyway. Maybe a flyer that went up prematurely or misprinted at witness. And I'm gonna have to pull myself away and give me a few minutes. I gotta use the restroom. So I'll be right back. I can see there are okay. Um, all right. Let me pull desktop back up. Sorry about that. And almost time's almost up for part one here. But hey, I got some story done, which is good. Many optional detour. That's okay. That's um still thinking here. Um okay, so the net effect. So okay, so the problem is finding out where Zabar is next. Is going next. So I'm going to be doing what I call a 2x2 pattern where he goes to browser, no, browser, and um, he goes to Chowserton, and then has two choices to go to Burton or Wilmington. And if he goes to left Burton first, then he goes to Killington after. If he goes to Killington first, then he goes to Leperton after. So that way he's visited all three. So they all need a clue that doesn't rely on any order. So both, we'll say both needs a clue that doesn't rely on the other town as to Zanzibar's whereabouts. There is a small thing in the story is that Zanzibar we could have Zanzibar choose where he wants to go, but that's yeah, I'll have to be really careful about that too later on when I'm doing like the full puzzles and everything. Uh to keep uh to keep the villages that he goes to kind of on a strict kind of linear chain. In other words, he can go to multiple villages, but they have to um can't rely on each other. In other words, he goes to one, he goes to another. Um There shouldn't be an order there, I guess. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. So there's nothing. Sorry, is that goes to Killington last, but Max is going to uh go to either Killington or Clifton first. Um, so there are two ways to go about this with regards to order. Since I'm going to have both locations in there twice, depending on the order, I could exclusively depend on that order, meaning Leper Town in the first as the first choice can give different results, i.e. I heard he wanted to visit Lincoln. So that's a definite order. If he goes to Killington as the first choice, then they could say something like you might want to try it, Pepperton. And in fact, these are different locations. The other way is that I can't rely on order, so they have to be the same. I don't, yeah, I even think, hmm, I guess, I mean, I guess I could do it that way, right? It's a directed thing. You choose Leperton, they give you a hint, because that's a separate page from, uh, going to Chillington first and then going to Leperton from Chillington, because it's not the same page, not the same location. Although, since you have a different door to each, maybe that they can uh, that means they have their own order anyways, so I can treat them as two different locations. Village Aries, Access to chilling from your first coaster environment, and maybe Jack Leverton. That's where he likes to start his shows. Very natural, feels responsive, very duplicating dialogue. Well, I have to duplicate it anyways, so that's not the point. I've got this. I can do that at least. Um, I have to think of this until I get a save. Until I get save state functionality. But okay, so this will work. Thanks. My time is up for today. Okay. Um, okay. Where is the thing? Here, we're just going to copy this. I'm going to add it to my notes. Okay, and then I'm going to copy one more thing here. Uh, okay, this actually, I don't need to keep that. I don't need to copy that. So, uh, oop, this. And we're just going to save it. And we'll continue this tomorrow. So thanks for watching part one. I'll see you in an hour if you're interested in the layout tool. Since there's only two people here, I'd imagine you'd probably be there um, then. But anyways, um, thank you for watching part one, and I'll see you in an hour, or I'll see you tomorrow.